I would like to welcome you all to today's seminar of Ready for Disaster project. And we will have actually two interesting talks related to climate change and how to improve the resilience against the disasters caused by the climate change. And then we will have some talks about the products of the project. And let me share my presentation to you within a moment. Okay. The Ready for Disaster actually is creating resilient communities through awareness and preparedness against the risk of fire, flood, and landslide. And today, we want to contribute this objective by an international webinar about facing the present and future, building climate resilience and disaster readiness. I would like to acknowledge our partners from 4 different countries. We are 7 partners who produce the products of this project. To name them, Kocaeli AFAD, one of them, Kocaeli Metropolitan Municipality Fire Department from Turkey, and then Training 2000 and Lares from Italy, Oikopolis from Greece, and Digivay from Georgia. I also would like to acknowledge the funding provided by the European Union and Turkish National Agency. Well, the goals of today's webinar is about raising awareness on climate change and natural disasters, risk reduction. We try to concentrate on facing the present and future, in essence, building climate resilience and disaster readiness. And then we will be talking about sharing the Ready for Disasters main results, competence map for volunteers and trainers, online course and OERs, training modules, and then strategic game mobile applications. And then we want to foster collaboration between civil protection organizations, communities to address climate change, disaster risk, and build resilient communities across the EU. We'll be following the agenda that you see on the screen. Basically, we will be continuing very soon about the presentations by 2 distinguished researchers. The first one is about navigating the climate crisis, recent disasters, emerging risk, and building resilience by Professor Banu Çetin from Gebze Technical University. And the second talk is about tackling the climate crisis, risk mitigation, and disaster readiness. And this talk will be given by Professor Burak Aydoğan from, again, Gebze Technical University. And the talk will focus about rising disasters with a particular note on intensifying climate-driven events, and then affordable technologies, cost-effective mitigation tools, and action needed, focus on preparedness and resilience. After these 2 talks, we will continue session 2, where we talk about the project main results. And in this part, we will be talking about the Ready for Disasters competence map for civil protection volunteers and trainers, and then the Ready for Disasters training platform, OER and case studies, and then strategic game for mobile application. So you will all hear about those products, and then we will conclude the webinar today by key points from the webinar. And if you have any questions, it is a good opportunity to discuss those. And then we will be talking about closing remarks and then information on follow-up activities and resources. And at the end, we will have a survey. I will be showing you the survey connection at the end, but at this point, I just wanted to mention it. Please fill this survey after you have the webinar today or as soon as possible. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Actually, this presentation here or this webinar that we are going to have today will be available to all of you and actually a wider audience through YouTube. Maybe you can come back and listen to the activities presentations of today later as you wish, because the webinar will be shared with you in social media accounts of Ready for Disaster. And the project is officially ending at the end of this month, but the products will be available for a long time. And we plan to share all the data and upcoming information with all of you in the coming days. So this will give actually you the opportunity to get benefits from the products of this Ready for Disaster project and future activities in the near future. Right. Now let's continue with the first presentation by Professor Banu Çetin, and let's have what she has to say. Professor Banu Çetin, floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second webinar within this scope of Ready for Disaster project. I am Banu Çetin. I'm a professor at Gebze Technical University, Environmental Engineering Department. Today, I will present you Navigating the Climate Crisis, Recent Disasters, Emerging Risks, and Building Resilience. Okay. In daily life, climate change and global warming are used interchangeably. Therefore, firstly, I want to mention about the difference between them. Global warming refers only to the Earth's rising surface temperature, while climate change includes warming and the side effects of warming, such as melting glaciers, heavier rainstorms, or more frequent drought. At first, at the beginning, the term global warming was used, maybe you remember, but after realizing the side effects, climate change came into use to better describe the situation. While the arguments about whether man-made climate change exists or not are still ongoing, we are experiencing its very serious effects with increasing intensity every year. Most of the worst disasters in the world are weather or climate related. Every day, we are facing with different disaster news in different parts of the world. Even in Turkey, while one side of the country is devastated by drought, the other side continues to suffer from flood disasters. In 2021, in southern part of Turkey, we faced forest fires in 53 cities and 170 events only for that summer. While in northern part of Turkey, we face severe flood disasters and nearly 81 people died. And also tornadoes have occurred in our seas too. Before these events, we had never heard of a tornado in Turkey. United States comes to mind when we mention about the tornado. In these pictures, you can see the tornado in Black Sea and in Marmara Sea in 2022. And if we talk about other disasters in the world, I think we should not forget the flood disaster in Libya. In that catastrophic disaster, large amounts of water suddenly came rushing down from two dams upstream of the coastal city. And this water destroyed buildings and carried away from the people inside them. And unfortunately, higher than 11,000 of people died and just as much was missing. And another catastrophic flood disasters in Spain. Valencia on Spain's east coast was hit with a year's worth of rain in just 8 hours in this October. The flood turned streets into rivers, destroyed homes, and swept away cars. You can see the satellite images reveal the true extent of the disaster, true extent of the flooding. Images from satellite clearly illustrate the scale of the disaster. The first image is observation from 8th of October, while the second shows the observation from 3rd of October, only a day after the disaster. The dramatic transformation of the landscape due to flood disaster is obvious. And based on the data from the European Severe Weather Database, extreme weather events in Europe rise 48% to nearly 17,000 to 2021 to 2024 period. This increase of almost 50% in Europe in just 3 years is worrying for the future. It's also seen that the most common extreme weather events in Europe are heavy rain and large hail. Unfortunately, we know these disasters, we are familiar with these disasters very well, as we are facing with floods, droughts, and wildfires almost every day. However, new disasters that we don't now know much about and that are attributed to climate change are emerging. Aircraft turbulence is one of these emerging disasters. You may not think it's a disaster, but considering the huge number of daily flights, it's not a problem to be underestimated. By the way, as I searched from the web, the number of annual flights performed globally is approximately 40 million for this year, only for this year. Turbulence is defined as an irregular motion of the air caused by eddies and vertical currents. Normally, modern aircrafts are equipped with sophisticated weather radar systems that pilots use to identify and navigate around the areas of turbulence. However, there are many types of turbulence, and some can be harder to spot. Clear air turbulence is one of the most unpredictable of all weather phenomena and the biggest cause of weather-related aviation accidents. And researchers show that severe turbulence is becoming more likely as the planet warms. And according to the new study, it was found that the moderate to severe clear air turbulence increased between 60% and 155% from 1980s to 2021. And projected changes in frequency of turbulence were illustrated in these figures for 1 degree centigrade, 2 and 3 degrees centigrade increase in global temperature. And as you can see, and as the authors comment in that study, climate change will increase the frequency of experiencing moderate to severe clear air turbulence at any given time in the Northern Hemisphere. And as also can be seen from these figures, turbulence will most affect the North African, East Asian, Middle Eastern, North Atlantic, and North Pacific regions. And the intensity of turbulence will increase as the temperature increases. And you can clearly see the difference in the number of turbulences between 1 degree centigrade and 3 degrees centigrade temperature increases. Unfortunately, this situation seems very serious. And on May 2024, Singapore Airlines flight encountered severe turbulence. Unfortunately, one person died and 71 people were injured when turbulence hit Singapore Airlines flight from London to Singapore. You can see the plane vertical speed with the rate by which the plane ascends or descends. As you can see, the plane climbed at 1,600 feet per minute, then dropped to minus 1,500 feet per minute in just 3 seconds, losing more than 3,000 feet of altitude. And it's about 1 kilometer altitude lost. It's incredible. And passengers reported how people hid overhead lockers during the disasters. Considering this altitude loss, I think it's not impossible. And I want to show you some photos showing the extent of the damage. I found them from the newspapers. You can see the results and damage of that incident clearly. There are many types of natural disasters, whether well-known or newly emerging. And it has been proven by both scientific and real events that most of these disasters are related to climate change. And although there are many studies on fighting against climate change, this is not a solution that can yield results in the short-term period. And unfortunately, our risk of encountering climate change-related disasters will increase day by day. And under these conditions, individual, governmental, and also intergovernmental actions are necessary. Adaptation and mitigation are complementary strategies that are both required to address climate change and its impacts. Mitigation, which focuses on reducing greenhouse gas emissions and transitioning to sustainable practices, play a vital role in limiting future risks. Simultaneously, adaptation measures such as strengthening infrastructure, developing early warning systems, or disaster management strategies help communities prepare for and cope with the issue. By combining these strategies, we can create a more resilient and sustainable future. Briefly, mitigation helps us avoid the unmanageable, while adaptation helps us manage the unavoidable. Disaster management is the most important adaptation strategies for building resilient communities. Maybe you know, but there are 5 phases of emergency management, including prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. The prevention phase focuses on disasters and emergencies that can be prevented by changing or regulating human behavior, while the mitigation phase focuses on reducing the impacts of these hazards on life and property. Preparedness involves the activities undertaken in advance of an emergency. And 4th phase, the response phase, is a reaction to the occurrence of a catastrophic disaster or emergency, while last one is recovery. It consists of those activities that continue beyond the emergency period to restore critical community functions. But generally, we know that some emergencies cannot be prevented, such as natural disasters and weather emergencies. Therefore, at first stage, disaster mitigation and preparedness become more important. Both efforts aim to reduce the potential damage and suffering that disasters can cause. At this point, disaster awareness and preparedness for resilient communities become very important. And thanks to Ready for Disaster project and its products, the people will become more resilient to floods, landslide, and fire-related disasters. It can help communities stay prepared, protect themselves, and recover more effectively. Hope not to encounter new and unexpected climate-related challenges. But we must remain alert and proactive. Together, we can build a future that is not only sustainable, but also prepared for the realities of a changing climate. Thank you for your attention. That's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Professor Çetin, for your wonderful presentation. I'm sure we will have questions, but let's have the questions after the second presentation, so we can have questions for both of them, if it is okay with you. Okay, let's continue with the second presentation. Are we ready?
Hello, everyone.
We cannot hear you clearly.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit louder.
Better?
Yeah. Can you speak a little bit louder?
Is it better now? Is it better now?
Okay, I mean, we can hear you, not preferable, but if it is the maximum one we can get, it's okay. Let's continue.
Okay, let me take the microphone a little nearer. Is it better now?
It's better.
Yeah, it's
better.
Okay, or let's try. Is this better?
Yes.
Okay, now let's use this one. And let me share my. Okay, good morning, everyone. Today, I would like to talk about tackling the climate crisis, the risk mitigation, and disaster readiness. Although it's a very large topic, I will try to summarize it in a short period of time. And this is the content of my presentation. First, we will look into how the climate change drives the risk of disasters. Then we will look into affordable new technologies that support the mitigation. And then the third section, we will look at the climate adaptation measures of the disaster mitigation. Let's start with how climate change drives the risk of disasters. So in the recent years, extreme weather phenomena have become more frequent in various parts of the world, and heat waves, major floods, and powerful storms not only cause physical damage, but impact health, economy, and the environment. And global climate change is one of the main factors causing weather instability, making it increasingly difficult to predict. And the climate change increases the risk of disaster by amplifying the extreme weather patterns such as hurricanes, floods, and wildfires. When we look at the picture on the left, we can see the regions of the world which are affected by the hurricanes, which are painted in pink, and in the areas in the yellow, which shows how the climate change affects and desertifies and causes droughts in many parts of the world. Here you can see most of the Turkey and Africa, and some parts in Europe, America are affected by drought and become deserts. And also these extreme weather events cause us loss of money. And you can see that in the change in the global cost of extreme weather events increases from 1950s to 2000 and more to recent years. And as the year passed, we have more and more damage that and to our economy. The total economic losses, as you can see, has the average of the total loss has increased between 1950 to 2000 about tenfold. So when it was about 5 billion, it has increased to about 50 billion and dollars per year. And you can also see that this is also increasing in the recent years. And when we say climate change, it's actually not very much, but the effects are very large. So when we say about a 1.5 degrees to 2 degrees change, it actually means a lot in the terms of climate change. So as we increase the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, the temperatures will rise. So and the difference between about 1.5 degrees to 2 degrees is in terms of extreme weather events means 100% increase to 170% increase in flood risk. Or for water availability, it may mean between 350 million of urban residents, which will have dropped to 410 million urban residents, which have flood. Or in terms of ecology, for example, in the Arctic Sea, freezes in the summers. If it's about 1.5 degrees, which means in every 100 years we have a summer of where there's no ice in the Arctic Sea, to in every 10 years where we have no ice in the Arctic Sea. Then we can see the change in sea level rises, oceans, or destruction of the corals. But if in 1.5 degrees we have 70% of the corals will be assumed to be destroyed by 2100, and there will be no coral reefs will be left if we have about 2 degrees of warming by the 2100. So, but according to NOAA, the increase in the temperatures by 2100 will be about 3 to 5 degrees, and for now we have seen temperature rise about 1.1 to 1.5 degrees up to today. So if we look at the again the graph here, the Earth's average temperature has risen about 1.5 degrees up to 2023 in the 19th century, and ocean warming and ice melt has caused about 0.13 degrees per decade of increase in sea temperatures, which also affects the life in the waters. So when we look at the effects of these extreme temperatures, we have extreme weather events, and we see wildfires, we see hurricanes and cyclones, and we see floods with increased frequency. And when we look at the sea levels, we can see that since 1880, we have about 20 centimeters of water level rise. And according to IPCC, the increase in water levels will have another 30 or 60 centimeters by 2100, which also puts the risk to our costs. Here in the figure, we see the number of Ramsar sites, which are protected and sites, protected coastal sites. According to UNESCO, you can see the countries with Ramsar sites which are being threatened by the rise of water levels. And we can also see here the number of people that are being threatened by the increase in water levels which live in the coastal cities. Here we can see in most of the people that live in the eastern Asia are being threatened about, and also there are other people that live in the coastal areas that will be affected by the increase in water levels. Another effect are the droughts and the water scarcity. And what we mean by the water scarcity is the seasonal or annual or multi-annual water stress condition, and it occurs when the water demand frequently exceeds the sustainable capacity of the natural system. In the river basin, droughts are the temporary decrease of the average water availability due to, example, to insufficient rainfall, and are considered as a natural phenomenon. And over 2 billion people globally face the water scarcity, and this increases by the climate change. And the World Resources Institute has predicted that by 2040, nearly 1 in 4 people will live in regions with high water stress. So this stress will increase as we see the effects of the climate change. And change also affect the ecosystem and biodiversity, and many impacts of the climate change, including drought, bushfire, storms, ocean acidification, sea level rise, and the water global warming affect the biodiversity. And loss of biodiversity can lead to land degradation, effects of water supply, and changes in farming productivity. So, and we have a small another infographic here which shows us some numbers in 1970. Since 1970, and the global wildlife population has decreased in the average of 68%. And we can see that every 6 seconds, 1 football pitch of primary rainforest is being lost as and 1 million animal and plant species are threatened in extinction because of the human activities. Another effect of the climate change is the climate refugees and migration. And climate migration is the movement of persons or groups of persons who predominantly for reasons of sudden or progressive change in the environment due to climate change are obliged to leave their habitual place for residence or choose to do so either temporarily or permanently. So when we look at the studies and the numbers that and we can see that in Middle East and North Africa, about 1 million person per year move. And you can see that it is mostly because of the floods. And in East Africa and Pacific, about 11 million people has moved, and some of it because of the floods and some because of the storms. And you can see that these both storms and floods can be can see that are caused from the increased global warming effects and the because of the climate change effects. And also it's also projected that by 2050 about 1.7% of population in Eastern Europe or Central Asia will move because of the climate based disasters, or 1.6% population in Latin America. In average of for the world, we will see about 2.3% of the population will move around the world because of the climate post crisis. If we look at the cost, we can see increase in cost for disasters is increasing by the year in between 1970 to 1975. We have about 183.9 billion losses, while we have in 2010 to 2020 we have 1,400 billion losses, according to World Meteorological Organization. And if we summarize the impact of the climate change and the disaster, we can say group them in health impacts, migration and displacement impacts, poverty and economic inequality, food security, malnutrition, education and learning disruptions, mental health impacts, social inequality and marginalization, and social conflict and security or loss of cultural heritage. Now let's move to some topics about the mitigation. How do we mitigate against the climate change? So climate change mitigation involves actions to reduce or prevent greenhouse gas emissions from human activities. Mitigation efforts include transitioning to renewable energy sources, enhancing energy efficiency, adopting regenerative agriculture practice, and protecting and restoring forests and critical ecosystems. And we have another mitigation which we will talk about is the disaster mitigation, is the effort to reduce loss of life and property by lessening the impact of disasters. Mitigation is action taken now before the next disaster to reduce the human and financial consequences later. One way to reduce the effects of the climate is in changing to renewable energy technology, which will lessen the amount of carbon dioxide that we put into our atmosphere. So solar, one of the renewable energy that has been developing is the solar energy. And so solar power prices have dropped about 89% since 2010, making one of the cheapest energy sources. By 2030, 60% of the global energy will come from renewable sources, including wind, solar. And we can see here the projections of the amount of the global energy that will be produced between 2010 to 2015, where we can see the reduction in the coal, and we can see that renewables will be increasing from 21% to about 44% between 2020 and 2050. And if we look into the renewables itself, we can see that 51% of the renewables is expected to be captured by the solar energy, while 31% from wind and 12% from hydroelectric. And these renewables also come with some problems, as the solar power can only be accessed about half of the day. So we also need energy storage solutions. So lithium-ion battery prices have decreased about again 90% since 2020, and by 2030 the energy storage market is expected to grow about 50%. And we are trying to increase the efficiency of these energy storage solutions. So we want them to have longer system life cycles, higher safety standards, higher power rates, higher energy density, and wider operation temperatures, so that will be more adapted. Another way to tackle the climate crisis is to mitigate by increasing the energy efficiency and energy efficiency technologies. In general, energy efficiency is the ratio between the useful output and the input of the energy conversion process, but it can be also be specialized, like electrical efficiency, like is the useful power output per electrical cable consumed, or mechanical efficiency, or thermal efficiency, luminous efficiency, fuel efficiency, energy efficiency in transportation or energy efficiency by landscaping, efficient energy use or energy conservation are all being adapted as mitigation measures against climate change. Here we can see the energy-related carbon dioxide emissions. So you can see that buildings and transport and power generation and the industry has the largest and their amount in the total energy or total carbon dioxide generation is being listed in here. Another method for mitigation are the green building and the construction innovation, which again help us reduce carbon emissions. Sustainable materials are being researched for like low carbon concrete or mass timber or recycled and upcycled materials, or energy efficiency is being studied by a smart building system, advanced insulations or high performance windows, or renewable energy integration by building integration photovoltaics, geothermal solutions, or micro wind turbines that we can use in the cities. Water conservation also help by grey water recycling system, rainwater harvesting, or water efficient fixtures, and waste reduction and circular economy is being adapted by 3D printing in construction, model and prefabricate construction and design for assembly so that you can reuse your structures. And digital technologies like building information modeling, digital twins, and augmented and virtual reality also help by increasing your efficiency and reducing your errors. Also, as the climate change, we also see the effects in the agriculture, like climate resilient agriculture is an approach that includes sustainability using existing natural resources through the crop and livestock production system to achieve long-term higher productivity and farm incomes in climate variabilities. Another mitigation strategy is the carbon capture and storage, which is capturing carbon in the production stage and then compressing it and then injecting it into underground reserves. Urban green structure integrates the natural and semi-natural system to urban environments to enhance the climate resilience. It addresses climate change mitigation and adaptation through ecological and sustainable solutions. So we use green roofs, rain gardens, vegetable farms and tree planter boxes and sustainable urban drainage systems, parks and tree canopies to increase the green in our cities and reduce the flooding effects. Other mitigation studies that are used are climate modeling and early warning systems, affordable clean transport technologies, waste to energy technologies, and affordable water purification and desalination technology, which all help reduce the effect of climate change. And the third chapter, we will be looking in the climate adaptation measures as the disaster mitigation. As I said in the previous section, we looked into the measures to reduce the climate change. Now we will be looking in how we reduce the disasters caused by the climate change. Adaptation and mitigation synergy is a term which refers to the concept of combining efforts to adapt to impacts of climate change by also reducing its causes in a ways that complement and reinforce each other. Essentially, it's about finding solutions that serve both purposes simultaneously, leading to more efficient and sustainable and effective outcomes. Synergy in context of disaster mitigation, which can be called by enhanced resilience, By combining adaptation and mitigation efforts, communities and ecosystems can become more resilient to disasters such as floods, storms, droughts, by simultaneously addressing the root cause of the climate change. And cost effectiveness, when the adaptation and mitigation measures are integrated, they can often reduce the overall cost and compared to treating them as a separate issues. Climate positive outcomes as a synergy action can create win-win scenarios where disaster resilience is improved and climate change is mitigated at the same time. Here we can see adaptation and mitigation. As we go in the adaptation side, we can see the vulnerability is reduced. While we go to the mitigation, we see emissions are reduced. So when we increase both, we have this sustainable win-win, where water demand and measurement, heat measurement from buildings, we can use these technologies and adaptation strategies, or we can just use adaptation where like air conditions or expanded irrigation systems, so which causes increased adaptation, but also increased emissions, which are worse in mitigation. So,
Professor Aydoğan, can we wrap up?
Yeah,
because of time limitations.
Just 2 slides more, and I'm finishing. So, building and resilient infrastructure is a way for reducing the effects of the disaster, like flood management infrastructure. By building flood barriers or lift stormwater management systems or river and coastal defenses, we can reduce flood management. We can create a flood management infrastructure, or by increase climate resilient transport networks like elevated roadways and bridges and flood resistant railways or resilient public transport systems. And we can expand our energy infrastructure by renewable energy systems, microgrids, and decentralized power or energy storage systems, or can adapt our water supply desalination infrastructure by water structure and distribution system, desalination plants, water wastewater treatment facilities, and so on. And because we talked about the water level rises, and to mitigate against the water level rises, we have both natural based solutions and engineered solutions. And natural based solutions, which include mangroves, salt marshes, coral reefs, seagrass meadows, sand dunes, beaches, and these natural structures help against sea level rises by protecting the coastal areas behind them. So by also protecting these natural sources, we are also protecting our structures. Another method for protection is using some engineered solutions like seawalls, groins, breakwaters, revetments, jetties, or artificial reefs, which can be built if natural resources are in lack or is not sufficient. Or we can have built some hybrid solutions like beach nourishments or living shorelines. And also, international collaboration plays a crucial role in preventing and mitigating disaster due to climate change. For the conclusion, we can say that combating the climate crisis requires both immediate and long-term efforts across all sectors. We need to accelerate action on mitigation and embrace innovative technologies and adopt climate adaptation measures to protect vulnerable communities. And we can finish by saying, let's commit to sustainable practices, invest in green technologies, and foster in collaboration to create a resilient future for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Aydoğan. I think we had two great presentations highlighting the realities. They are insightful and also talking about innovative solutions to the problems. Now we can have questions from the audience. I can see Vasilis raised his hand. Go ahead, Vasilis.
Thank you very much, and congratulations on your valuable work. I find it very interesting. I would like to make one question. I see, Professor, that the cost of nuclear energy has risen about 2.5 times, while renewable energy has become very cheap. Do you know why the cost of nuclear energy has risen so much?
So I don't know the reasons. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you very much. It was everything very interesting and very valuable. Thank you again.
Thank you very much, Vasilis. Do we have additional questions from the audience? We have a few more minutes for the questions. Maybe I can ask a question actually for both Professor Çetin and Professor Aydoğan. So you talk about mitigation measures and climate change effects. Can we do some actions, or can we take some actions locally also? I mean, those are generally big changes that we are talking about, but as a citizen, for example, can we contribute to mitigation or to the solutions? Or everything is at governmental stage? I mean, how are we going to approach this personally?
Yes.
I don't know who wants to answer, Professor Aydoğan or Professor Çetin.
Okay, maybe I can answer that. In personal basis, for example, I have talked about some mitigation strategies. So, for example, recycling water, and these strategies that using less water in our homes, and maybe using some equipment that helps us reuse some of the rainwater in our apartments, for example, for using on plants, watering the plants, and very simple technologies like that will also help us reduce the amount of water usage, which also help us mitigate against climate change effects. These are the first things that come to my mind, and also maybe increasing the, for example, while buying our automobiles and buying cars which use less carbon dioxide, which emit less carbon dioxide, will help. And being I think these are the things and that we can do as people to help mitigate.
Thank you, Professor Aydoğan. Vasilis, do you have another question? I see your hand sign.
I would like to add, Professor, that in fire-related, fire-wise, we can do cleaning of the fields and of the trees, of the fuel during the winter. Here in Greece, there is a law right now that obliges all the citizens to clean their houses, their fields during the winter, because during the summer, so as we don't have any peaks, any extremely fuel to be burned during the summer. This is something that everyone has to do, at least in the Mediterranean countries. Furthermore, I would like to add that I saw a diagram that was talking about, that was showing the economic costs, and I saw that it is rising, the economic cost of the climate crisis, while the number of debt is reducing. And I would like to observe that the same happens here in Greece. We are trying to have less debts, but we see, unfortunately, that every year or every decade, the cost is rising and rising continuously. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the additional information, Vasilis. And if you don't have any additional questions, then we will continue with the second part of our webinar. Here we will be talking about project main results. But before going into that, I would like to thank also Professor Aydoğan and Professor Çetin for their insightful presentations. They are very valuable. And for those who couldn't attend all the webinar, we will also put this webinar recording into YouTube account of our project, so you will be able to listen to it afterwards also. Now, before getting into the second part, that discussion of project results, I also wanted to share with you the survey. It is on the screen. I think at the end I will show it again, but you can access this survey and fill in the survey. Your feedback is very important for us. Please don't forget to fill in this particular form. Okay. Now we will continue with the second part of our webinar, and this time I will be talking about the first item. Let me get into the presentation mode. I think you can see my slides. I already mentioned the partners within that project. The project was funded by European Union and Turkish National Agency. We acknowledge their support for supporting this great project, I believe. We have multiple products within this project. We will be talking about each of them. The first one is a competence map, and then we have training modules, and then open educational platform and interactive mobile application and games. Well, before actually getting into the preparation of all materials, the first step was the preparation of competence path. So for that, we performed surveys in each partner country. And then we prepared national reports, and then we prepared international report. Actually, this was the basis of our products, I can say, because those information from the experts in the field was instrumental to prepare competence path planning tool for volunteers. So with this map, actually, we were able to identify the needs or the competences for volunteers in Greece, in Italy, in Georgia, in Turkey. And we believe that actually the survey results from those countries reflect also the general concept in Europe and the world, because we were surveying a large number of people. We focused on the natural disasters that are relevant for this project, namely fire, flood, and landslide. And overall, we surveyed 160 responses, and those responses actually came from, let's say, trainers, volunteers, which has at least 3 years of experience. So we can say those competences actually represent the real idea of the 160 people. In other words, the idea of this representative number of people actually gives us very valuable information about the needs and competences that needs to be developed by using the products of our project. So those competences are actually available at our project website. I'm not going to go through all of them, but we identified 14 competences for volunteers according to the survey that we conducted with 160 people. And those competences also had particular sub-competences. For example, if I want to name some of them, for example, I can say the fire risk safety, suppression, and control competences. So here, for example, volunteers needs to get knowledge of fire safety and suppression procedures, equipment, and tools. And others, for example, search and rescue. So basically, those competences cover different fields and includes all stages of the disaster management. For example, mitigation and preparedness, very important one. Then we have response, for example. It is also a critical one. Recovery. So with those competences, we cover all those aspects of disaster management. As a result of those investigation and competences, we were able to identify 8 modules that we must prepare to equip the volunteers with necessary information, knowledge, and tools. You can see the names of those. It starts from general topics like occurrence and impact of disasters, and then delves into the details like flood disasters, landslide disasters, fire-related disasters, and then continue with rescue and rescue equipment, which is a part of the response, and then promoting prevention over recovery, resiliency metrics indicators, and European mechanism in civil protection. As you see, we cover all the phases of disaster management with those modules. And then I have to mention that actually when we also prepare those products, all the let's say training materials, educational materials, information videos, and the tools, including games, we try to match the material prepared with competences, as you can see in this particular table here. And then we divided them with respect to competences into units. And you can see here actually each module is divided into particular comprehensive and cohesive units, which are linked to competences. So related to each one of them, we had presentations, frameworks, self-assessment, and different questions. Well, Then to satisfy the competences, actually we defined 9 training paths. So we had actually a lot of material, which I kind of summarized here, only one of them. So we had 8 of them, and then we thought there should be a strategy with that, how to present the competence map to the volunteers. So we use 9 training paths for that purpose, and you can see actually here each one of those. For example, if you are interested in landslide and if you are interested in recovery, then you particularly follow training path 6. And let's say if you are interested in fire and if you are interested in mitigation and preparedness, you can go through particularly training path 7. So according to the needs decided by you or decided by your, let's say, organization like AFAD or Oikopolis, you can follow different paths here. Of course, we also gave the opportunity to follow the traditional trend. What is the traditional trend? I mean, you can just go through all modules according to the list presented. But you can also follow that particular paths presented according to your needs. And that is very important. And also, when we presented that, we wanted to be innovative, and then we said, all right, let's do it by using sunburst diagrams rather than, on the text material. We said, okay, we can present it by using the wheel here. So on this wheel, you can see the path that you want to follow. They all represented in different colors. You can see 9 paths here. And in each path, there are particular, let's say, units that you can follow. You can reach the presentations in each of them. You can reach the, let's say, videos, additional materials provided. You can access the, let's say, e-learning materials, quizzes, self-assessments. You can reach all of them. And some details will be given by my colleagues later. I will not get into details of those. And I will just briefly mention here we have those educational games for skill reinforcement, and then we can utilize those. And Ia, one of our colleagues here within that project, will give details about those particular details with respect to games. I think they are very interesting ones. And in our closure conference at Gebze Technical University last month, actually, we were able to do some game competitions. It was very interesting and took a significant attention. Right. And you can reach, again, I mentioned, you can reach all the materials that we produce at our project website. Our project will be ending at the end of this month, but for sure, we will be continue to maintain our website and also products. You will be able to access them clearly. And also, please follow us on social media as well, in Facebook and Instagram and also YouTube. I think you will benefit a lot, and we will continue to put additional materials in those social media platforms. With that, I will stop my presentation. And ask, I think, Sophia, I think, will make a presentation as far as I remember.
Andreas will present, will have the presentation with pupils together to have the experience. Andrea?
Where is Andrea?
Hello, all. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Can you share the presentation or you need help? Can you open the presentation?
Okay.
Okay.
Andreas, nice to see you. We cannot hear you, Andreas, now.
We cannot hear you. Why?
And also, we would like to say hi to your students.
Yes.
Or future volunteers.
So, Andreas?
Δεν ακούγεται ο Ανδρέας.
Για κάνε το στίγμα.
Το ξέρει.
I think in the beginning we were hearing you.
Ακούγεται. Το παιδί δεν ακούστε. Okay.
Maybe it's better now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Hello.
Hello.
First of all, many greetings from the third high school of Egaleo.
Very nice.
Second one, I want to apologize because this time of period in schools has two characteristics. The first one is many tests for the students, so they came here, attend some minutes, go to their class, wrote a test and come back. And the second characteristic is that we are expecting Christmas holidays, and we are enthusiastic about this.
For vacation.
We don't want to take more time from you. Yes, Selçuk, all these students and many more who couldn't attend the webinar are potential volunteers, and also all these students are testing our mobile application, and they'll present it in our multiplier event next week in municipality of Haidari. So I can share my screen now.
Okay, great.
And begin with the presentation.
Okay.
We are here to talk about all the OER products of our project. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. The 8 Ready for Disasters training modules for civil protection, volunteers and trainers are aligned to the competence map tool as Selçuk showed us before. The characteristics are: they are developed under the form of open educational resources published under the Creative Commons license. That means that everyone can access to the products and use them for learning special things, and also he can use it in his class, his course under the Creative Commons license. The OER platform can be accessed via the project website. I suppose you can see the project website here. And when you click to project products and in the actual outputs, you can find the competence map, the wheel, the second wheel. I'll explain these wheels later, and all the training modules. Also, you can find the link for our mobile app and game. Back to the presentation. The OER platform is available in English, Turkish, Italian, Greek, and Georgian language. And as I said before, you can find it in our project website. The 8 Ready for Disaster training modules are divided into several learning units. Here is the platform. You can use it with somehow chronological order from module 1, module 2 until the end, module 8. Each module, for example, module 4, fire-related disaster, has several units, and in the end has a chapter on PDF with more information if someone wants to explore more things about this module.
Okay.
Each of the 8 training modules and related units include an interactive presentation consisting of learning outcomes, what the learner will be able to know, the knowledge, to do, skills, and take responsibility for, autonomy and responsibility. Also, is consisting of text, quizzes, images, videos, and external links. In the end of the unit, there is a final of the module, there is a final self-assessment test to acknowledge acquired learning. Every test consisting of 3 to 5 questions and additional resources, the module chapter on PDF file. For example, if we visit the platform and we'll choose Unit 4.1, Preparedness for a Fire-Related Disaster. You can read all the necessary information. There are several types of information, images, videos, hotspots where you can click and get more information about the topic. And you can find also quizzes. And you can check if you give the right or the wrong answer. Of course, we can retry, and in the end, you have the total image of your high score. In the end of the module, there is the PDF file where you can find all this information and many more. Additional resources. Chapters offer a detailed exploration of the module's topics, allowing learners to delve deeper into the subject matter. Learners can access the chapters from the website. The training modules include case studies describing real-world disasters such as floods in the Emilia-Romagna region in Italy, wildfires in the Attica region of Greece, landslides in Kocaeli, Turkey. Case studies provide opportunities to learn from past events and enhance disaster preparedness in local communities across Europe. Users can access the training modules and OER via the project website, under project products via the interactive competence wheel in 2 ways. The first way, for each of the three natural disasters, flood, landslide, and fire, learners can choose to start their learning path according to the three disaster risk management phases. Totally, we have 9 educational paths: mitigation and preparedness, response, and recovery. For example, if we visit our website, here is the wheel. For example, we are interested in response in flood disaster. We'll take this training path, and according to what is the interest, my interest in flood response, I'll choose one of the 8 modules. More details you can find below the wheel. And if I choose module 2, I have to choose unit 2.3. And this unit will appear in my screen, and I'll have to study the case studies. Let's see the second wheel now. The interactive wheel presents each natural disaster, flood, landslide, and fire, and related phase, mitigation and preparedness, response and recovery, in chronological order, from module 1 to module 8. For example, I'll choose module 7, resilience metrics and indicators. And now I have to choose in one of the 6 units of that chapter. And I can access all the material for that topic. I remind you, all the material are in our website. Please visit it and put it in your favorites. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay. Thank you very much, Andreas.
Thank you.
All right. Now I think we started with competence map. Now we talk about the training materials, OER platform, and you are able to see the sunburst diagram that we are following. This wheel is interesting as well. I suggest maybe if you are too busy, you can access to this wheel each day, and you can try your, let's say, luck or your path for the morning. I mean, you can choose one of them, close your eyes, pick one of them and read only that particular unit maybe. So maybe we will try to add something to our website to simplify that procedure also. It may be useful game for the training as well. You choose your fortune, kind of. Anyway, let's continue with our next and very exciting let's say main results, which are the games. Actually, we have games for 3 disasters at 3 different levels, working in Android and the Apple. We can now hear about it from Ia from DigiWay Georgia. Ia, are you there?
Yes, he is.
Sorry. Yes, I am here. So as it was Andrea's case, I have also my lecture class. So there are as I counted, 16 students.
Oh, great. Great to see them.
The class.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, because of this, I like to use this microphone. Also, lecture for the lecture.
That's okay.
Some tools for the lecture. Okay. And they are management school students, so it means that disaster management is also very interesting. I think that the topic is interesting for them. At first, I'd like to share my screen, of course, and we have presentation about game. Okay. Let's use presentation mode at first.
You know, we don't see the number of audience at or let's say Teams number system, but you know, they are there and you are representing 16 more people.
Yes, 16.
In the presentation.
Yes, they are 16. I counted them.
And also the same for Andreas, actually. You know, he's representing so many audience there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. I like to represent the topic, which is about interactive mobile application and game, what we created for the project. So here we have, of course, the same who were involved in the project, organizations from different countries. And what we did, we created, from Georgia, a Georgian part. So we created mobile game for fire, flood, and landslide. And these mobile games are based on the competencies which are created by project partners. So what about you talked before? And according to these competencies, we have these 3 games. And here you can see the main objective of these games. So we created digital games. We have 3 types of games, as I mentioned, and for each one we have 3 levels. And we will see how the game looks like. And at the end of this meeting, I will share to my students, of course, I will share the link where they can play directly here in the class. But now I'd like to open the video presentation, which is about game, how we can play. But just a moment, I like to. I think that it's better by Blomberg. I think that works. No. So maybe you have this link because you shared me the link about this video.
From YouTube, I think. Am I right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, maybe Tahsin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Maybe I think EI is asking whether we can open that particular video from YouTube and share it with the audience.
I can send the link from questions and answers, maybe.
Questions and answers?
Can you play it, Tahsin, in your computer?
Yes, okay, I can play.
Yeah, and share the screen maybe.
I will stop that.
and then
then I go back.
Ia will continue.
Yeah, sure. We need to video it first to see how the game works, and then I continue.
Okay, I think you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I start from the beginning.
Yeah, sure.
Do you want the sound of the video?
Would be nice.
Okay.
After starting the game, you will be presented with the main menu. From the main menu, you can access all the different scenarios, options, the guide, and exit the game. In the options menu, you can change your controller type to be either joystick or gamepad. Using the circular joystick, the player can move in all directions. Using the second joystick, the player can move his camera to left and to the right. Using buttons on the left, the player can move forwards and backwards. Using buttons on the right, the player can turn left and right. In the options menu, it is also possible to change the language of the entire game. Clicking play will bring you to the scenario selection screen. Here you can choose which scenario you would like to play: fire, landslide, or flood. After you click play, you will be loaded into the level. Fire scenario level 1. Start in the room of your office. You notice a fire has started, and from the looks of it, it is too big to put out by yourself. You have to evacuate the building within 1 minute and answer all the questions correctly to advance to the next level. In the beginning, only the first level will be available in each scenario. You will need to complete the level fully to advance to the next level. You can find the description, your high score, timer, and requirements of each level at the top of the screen. If you answer everything correctly and within 1 minute, you will be able to advance to the next level. In fire scenario level 2, a small electrical fire starts, which you can put out by yourself. In this scenario, you should decide the actions you need to take, the response distance, and the appropriate fire extinguishing techniques for different types of fires. In the fire scenario level 3, you are tasked to rescue 4 people and put out 2 fires within 5 minutes. You will have to wear a mask with oxygen and keep track of the odometer until the time runs out. Pressing the first button will open the odometer, which shows you how much oxygen you have left. You have to do this at least 4 times during the level to get full points. Pressing the second button will toggle the flashlight, which will increase your visibility in dark areas. The temperature reading at the top right corner of the screen will let you know the temperature of your surroundings. You will have to spray the ceiling if the temperature gets to 500 centigrade degree and above. Flood level 1 starts with a warning. The warning is the weather forecast has predicted heavy rain and potential flooding. You should follow the emergency plan. The task of the player is to prepare the emergency kit. After the player prepare the emergency bag, the player should take required precautions such as putting sand in a sandbag and place it on the doorstep, and turning off the electricity and gas, for the preparedness of possible flood. Flood level 2 starts with a warning. The warning is, the water level is rising in your city. Immediately grab your emergency kit and go to the assembly area. The task list appears on the right side of the screen and turns green as tasks are completed. The task list should consist of warning the children playing in the water and send them to the assembly area, helping evacuate people with disabilities, helping evacuate elderly people, guiding the people in the house to the assembly area, rescue people trapped in the water. Flood game level 3 begins with the player in the assembly area, now assigned to the search and rescue team. After selecting the appropriate outfit, the task list will appear on the right side of the screen and turn green as tasks are completed. The mission list will consist of the participate in boat rescue, perform boat rescue and first aid and rope rescue. Landslide scenario level 1 start with the weather alert heavy rainfall and potential landslide predicted for hillside house. You will decide what you do. During this level you will learn what should be the first step in a possible landslide. You will prepare an emergency kit, take some actions as a precaution and evacuate your house. The level begins with an urgent notification on the player's phone. Landslides are increasing in your city. Go to the assembly area immediately with your emergency bag. The player then grabs the emergency bag from the house, walks out the door, and heads to the car. As the player progresses, a task list appears on the right side of the screen, such as assisting disabled individuals, warning the children, helping elderly people, turning green as tasks are completed. The player must complete the level within 10 minutes. Exceeding the time limit results in landslides occurring and the mission failing. Landslide level 3 first part begins with the player in the assembly area, now assigned to the search and rescue team. After selecting the correct outfit, the mission list appears on the right side of the screen and turns green as missions are completed. The player must determine the appropriate techniques to locate and rescue victims in the safe area. In level 3 second part B, players learn about the measures and actions needed to mitigate the risk of landslides. This level focuses on proactive steps to prevent landslides and protect the community. The player must complete this level in maximum within 10 minutes. If the time limit is exceeded, the mission fails. Interactive mobile app and game as the digital trainer that will give the volunteers and trainers innovative knowledge and help volunteers to improve the practical skills of prevention and preparedness. The program is now available on Google Play and the Apple Store.
Thank you very much. Okay, I continue with the presentation. So we stopped here. Let's continue with the methodology we used for the games. At first, we created a scenario of this application and games. And all the partners were involved, of course, in the process. Then, according to this scenario, we created some technical tools for the game. It was game metrics for formulation of the competencies. And then it was the process of graphical design, of course. And we created a special engine for our game. And then we created algorithm, of course, for game programming and of game programming algorithm, I mean. And then it was a long period of development of digital game. And then at the end, we tested the game. At first, we have tester, of course, and we tested. And then we shared to our partners, and all partners were involved also in this process. And we had many recommendations, comments, remarks from them, and we tried to adapt all of them. And at the end, we have this final result. And after that, we created also a manual of the game. It's like guide of the game, and it's already built in the mobile application. So we did also translations, so you can play in English, of course. Also, we have the versions from all partner countries' languages. And we were, of course, all the partners were involved in the process. Okay, so the main results we already have seen, but anyways, if we want to summarize this process, of course, we have 3 games with 3 levels for each one. We have elementary, intermediate, and advanced level for each game. The game is 3-dimensional game. We use the score system. You can see that we have score system, which is implemented in the game. And the game is in multiple language, also in English, and also Turkish, Italian, Greek, and German language too. And the game is accessible for iOS as well as Android system. Yeah, we already mentioned that it's a 3-level game. Here we have our team, DigiWay team, who worked for development of the game. So here we have also a person who is firefighter. So we had some questions. We also asked him as well as all of our partners. So thank you very much. And I'm proud that we have this kind of result at the end of the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Iya. If you have any questions from the audience about the products, games, others. Yeah, I can see, I think, Andreas, you are the first, I think, then Vasilis, I can see the second. Andreas, go ahead.
Thank you, Selçuk. Thank you, Iya. We don't have any questions, but we have something to say. My students are excited and they want to share their opinion with you. Can we?
Of course, go ahead. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Well, hello. I would like to congratulate anyone who helped develop this game. because it has good graphics. It is also a game that teaches you something, so it's not useless such as others. And I'm excited to play it for the first time.
Thank you, Kostas.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are glad we saw the video because now we know the answers.
Alex, Alex.
The game was really good, and everyone will play that game. And thank you for the answers.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Want to say something? We were glad for this opportunity because we missed an hour of lesson. No, 2 hours. We are glad because we missed 2 hours of lesson.
But we learned a lot of.
Good day. Bye.
Thank you.
Well, you learn about different topics. I think wonderful. Your ideas about the game was, very great. Thank you.
Sorry for interrupting again, but they have gymnastic now, so I can't hold them. Not 1 second.
Okay.
No, we have the same feelings with them. No problem. Thank you. Thank you, Andreas. And Vasilis, now I think I see your hand.
Thank you, Selçuk. Thank you, Andreas, and all your students for their feedback. I liked it a lot. I don't have a question either. I would like just to congratulate Ia and her team for their work. It's very realistic and useful. I can see that the users, if they use it if they use it regularly, they will learn a lot of things. In fact, they will learn to respond in time in a case of a disaster. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your ideas, thoughts. Yeah, we are excited about the games again.
Thank you very much. Good feeling.
Very, very good. And is there any news from stores?
Yes, today we got email from Google Play that finally they gave us access. So we will share you very soon. It was for half an hour of this meeting. So
okay.
Great news.
Can I say something? My grandchildren waiting for Google Play to find the game to play with it.
Very soon, Sophia.
Because I have shown them, and they are excited, and they want very much to play, to test it.
Yes. They can.
I think Google is following many things. I think they are following the webinar also, and they thought that they should give you the information before the webinar. Okay. All right. Any other comments or thoughts or questions?
No.
No, then maybe I think you already shared the link,
yes,
Sophia, with the email.
I sent by email, and maybe all the participants. I answered to your email, so it isn't to all the participants.
Okay, so I don't need to spend time here showing the links again. Thank you very much for that. So I appreciate all presenters, all partners, and all attendees for being here with us for the webinar too. And I can suggest please follow our social media accounts. And actually, we will continue to upload additional information as we obtain them in our YouTube account also ready for disaster. I believe we will keep them alive, sharing different presentations, different information with you at different times. So although the project is officially ending at the end of this month, I think the products will be useful for a long time in the future. And also they will be kind of, let's say, initial steps for further projects, further initiatives, and continue to follow us, I can say. And if you have some final remarks, or colleagues here, maybe we can continue with that, and then we finalize the webinar today.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, then we are finalizing the webinar today.
Bye-bye.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Bye bye.